Good morning, afternoon, or evening, depending on where you're joining us from. My name is Atti Worku, and I'm the co-CEO of the African Visionary Fund. It's my pleasure to welcome you to our Visionary Partner Announcement event. Quite simply, our mission is to support African organizations with unrestricted and multi-year funding. We continue to shift decision-making power in development and philanthropy into the hands of local experts. In 2020, we set out with a goal of raising $10 million and 35 organizations. And I'm thrilled to share that as of December 2023, we've reached both of our goals. I want to take a moment here to thank everyone who's been with us through this journey. Since our inception, we've learned that the funding desert for African organizations is broader, wider, and drier than we initially imagined. The journey for most African-founded and led organizations is one riddled with funding and fundraising inequity. Our partners continue to run impactful organizations despite of these challenges. This is why we believe our work is fundamentally an experiment in trust-based and equity-centered funding. Equity is not a fad nor a phase. It cannot be treated like a sector that funders can take temporary interest in. It cannot be used to check the DEI box. It is the cornerstone of truly fair and sustainable development. Easier said than done, right? Yes. Through our journey, we've learned that systems change takes time. It takes patience, dedication, and discipline to build authentic organization that fundamentally approaches funding differently. Our approach is perfectly captured in my favorite African proverb. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. We want to go together with our partners and funders to broaden our vision and achieve bigger goals in a more inclusive way. While we're excited to have reached our first set of milestones, we know that this is really just the beginning for AVFund and our partners. So today, we celebrate these incredible milestones. We're here to unveil our fourth cohort of partners, organizations that serve their communities with powerful local solutions. But before the exciting reveal, I would like to invite our Cohort 3 partners, Brian and Mercy, to share a few words. Thank you.
Thank you, Atti. Hello, everyone. Should I say Happy New Year? It's so nice to be here again. My name is Brian Walusimbi, and I'm the founder of Bless a Child Foundation in Uganda, where we take care of children suffering from cancer, providing accommodation and support for the families as they go through cancer treatment. About the same time last year, I was sitting right here in this place with so much excitement, but also quite afraid as I was getting ready to be introduced as part of the Cohort 3 partners. It has been an amazing journey since I joined. And for me, there are so many stories I can tell of support, but I'm not going to get there right now. Last year, I was invited to join the Grantmaking committee. I joined the board of AVFund, the staff, and some of also my Cohort 3 partners that joined us as we made this amazing decision. The 12 of you made our work so easy. But two things that I noticed as we were going through the whole process. One is that Africa has so many people that are doing amazing work everywhere. We saw stories of hope and love being shared and amazing work happening in Africa. The second thing that we noticed, which is a string that we saw through most of the applications we saw, is that a lot of people doing amazing work are underfunded, are struggling to keep their doors open or even to put food on their tables. Today is special because we get to see the vision and dream of the African Visionary Fund come to life again. Funding going to the people that need it the most. The 12 of you, as I mentioned, your work speaks for itself. It's amazing, it's encouraging, it's uplifting. And I can say that Africa is so proud and grateful to have you. The difference you make speaks for itself. And I believe with this support, you're even going to do way, way more. On behalf of the Grantmaking Committee, I just want to say welcome, congratulations. I'm looking forward to meeting you personally, connecting with you, and also learning from you. Thank you so much. And right now, Mercy.
Thank you so much, Brian. Indeed, today it's a day of celebration as we welcome more and more high impact leaders into our community. My name is Mercy Kafotokoza. I'm the founder and executive director of Wandikweza, which is a community health organization providing access to quality health care for over 300,000 Malawians in rural communities with home-based services, rapid maternal response care, and mobile clinics in remote areas. We have been a grantee of African Visionary Fund for just over a year now, and it has been such a rare and validating experience of being trusted and supported. Wandikweza is 100% local organization with no any representation outside of Malawi. AVFund is our advocate outside the borders of our country, and we feel so well represented. When I went to SCORE World Forum last year, I was able to have conversations with other funders that Atti curated. Through those meetings, we have been able to keep conversations going that have led to us being granted material funding. That was very transformative for me, because usually large forums and networks like these ones are difficult and painful for us Black African nonprofit leaders. We are often treated by funders as if we are just there to beg. We experience a lot of cold shoulders. I wouldn't have been able to have the boldness to approach hard to reach funders without the AVF Fund's support in telling them about us, connecting us, and facilitating the informal conversations that turned into a formal partnership. I've seen how AVF Fund helps with our visibility outside our funder introductions. I came across our program images in the media, and when I asked where they got it from, they told me that they found it on the AVF Fund website. When that happened, we were ready to leverage the increased visibility because of the AVF Fund capacity building grant. We invested the funds into the building of our new website, creating an M&E framework, and improving our overall communications and storytelling. Lastly, the peer sharing element within the cohort, my cohort, has been amazing for me. We truly live as a family. I can call someone in Kenya, Uganda, and ask them for support. We all learn from each other and share our expertise and advice. So I would like to give our incoming cohort, the new partners, these three piece of advices. 1, come with an open mind. Shed off all the rigid expectations of a fellowship. 2, come with a growth mindset. Your expertise is valued here. You are going to learn as much as you teach. 3, be flexible and don't be afraid to ask and reach out. We are all here for one another. Brian?
Thank you, Mercy and Brian, for these kind words and advice for our new partners. We're so humbled to be and grateful for your partnership. I'm Katie Bunten-Wamaru, AVFund's co-CEO. A lot has changed since the African Visionary Fund was just an idea. The biggest change being that locally led development has become a focus in our field. However, a lot has stayed the same as well. While funding is perhaps flowing differently, the flows of power have still not significantly shifted at a sector-wide, systems-wide level. We see our role at AVFund as being a voice and force that makes sure that the funding ecosystem is investing in localization in a meaningful and power-shifting way, not simply as a side project or a nice to have. We're so proud of having launched a participatory grant-making committee because there's no better evaluator than leaders on the ground who know the conditions and challenges that these organizations are facing and overcoming. Our partners are the experts. Before we announce our new partners, we want to thank the funders that have invested in the African Visionary Fund during this early and experimental phase of our organization, and who know that there is so much more work to be done. Thank you so much for your partnership. So let's get to the good stuff. For Cohort 4, we have committed $2.7 million in direct investments to 12 new organizations that work in 10 countries, and we have expanded our geographic diversity by supporting partners in Liberia, Ghana, and Zambia for the first time. The new additions to our portfolio are 100% African-led and work across multiple sectors, including education, technology, health, livelihoods, and human rights. We have deepened our investment into climate and WASH-related organizations and tapped into a new subsector of research and policy action. 67% of our new partners serve young people, and 50% center gender equity in their work. We are big on gender parity, and 42% of this fourth cohort of organizations is women-led. So without further ado, I invite you to watch the following video that spotlights the 12 new visionary partners joining our community.
Since 2020, the African Visionary Fund has channeled critical resources and shifted decision-making power to African-founded and led organizations. Our multi-sector partnership model commits unrestricted, unburdensome grants and offers support services tailored to our partners' goals. We have exceeded our goal to raise $10 million to enable chronically underfunded organizations that deliver deep impact. And we have committed $8.2 million to 35 organizations across 13 countries. Our 12 new visionary partners exemplify the lessons we have learned that strengthen our commitment to our mission. We have learned that sustainable development is driven by communities. We have learned that context is everything. We have learned that systemic change starts with small actions for big impact. And that we have to be bold to change people's minds. we are proud to partner with diverse leaders with unique expertise in the needs and dreams of the communities they serve. Our momentum is building, and our impact is just beginning. Follow our journey of creating a broader vision for funding locally across Africa.
Congratulations to our new partners. We're so excited. We would love to get to know you all more. So I have a few questions for you to introduce yourselves and your organizations. Starting with Herma from Drop of Water. Our field is moving towards reaching the Sustainable Development Goals by 2030. At the African Visionary Fund, we strongly believe that you can't get sustainable development without localized, community-driven development. So Herma, how is your organization's model creating a sustainable future for the community you serve?
Yeah, as I introduced, my name is Herma. I am the co-founder and executive director at Drop of Water. Since the very moment that we heard about AVF, we feel like we're deeply connected and compelled to your vision. And we are now in this momentous time, in the celebratory time, and we're so honored and proud and grateful to be recipients of the grant opportunity and partnership commitment. It's so exciting, and thank you so much for believing in our leadership and the mission and of course, the vision that we have for our community. And to all Cohort 4 grantees, well done and congratulations. Just in the interest of time, I'll just jump into your question. We consider ourselves as a reputation of, having a strong contextualized in the community. In fact, we are mostly labeled as a local NGO who's very, very close to the community. And we are so proud that we are wired this way. Starting from planning stage throughout like project implementation process, we made like efforts to make sure like there is long-lasting benefit and sustainability. And this will involve like considering and working on institutional, social, technical, and financial aspects of our projects. And these aspects run across like different spectrum of program design, starting from pre-project implementation phase up to like post-implementation phase. On the pre-project implementation phase, we call it like the planning stage. We have a local community engagement and accountability approach, and that's our key approach and to a model to meet our strategic interventions. And during this planning stage, we make sure like we identify and establish strong connections like with community members, community steering leaders, influential peoples and figures such as like religious leaders, teachers, traditional institutes, women's association, all those community-based organization and local structures. And these are our approach, or that we get our clear understanding of the community's context, interest, demand, and even the social structure that would ultimately help us develop adaptive and effective community mobilization, engagement, and implementation strategies. Of course, we have our own community engagement approach for each community that we serve, and that we map out and identify community stakeholders' interests and needs, and also even challenge that we might even consider during the implementation phase of our project period. And that we do this through two-way communication channels. Not only it's not like top-down approach, but we also have an approach where we actually listen and learn from our community members who are on the ground, and that's how we craft community-centered solutions. And then once we have done all the planning stage, then we go to the implementation phase. And during this implementation phase, we have the local community partnership and participation approach, and that's one of also another key approach that we use to implement programs. And as I mentioned, like once we explore and what's best, the best approach for community engagement for each community we serve. During the implementation phase, we partner with this identified local community-led institutes, social structures for effective communication with the community members and local administration, and of course, ultimately for project implementation. And these social institutes are our entry point to the project area that we are going to intervene in. Any project area. We don't just jump in and say we're going to do this project, but we use those local social structure or existing structures to make sure like we have the right approach when we enter into the project areas. And similarly, like these local structures are linked with government structures as well, and that fosters long-term change in the long term. And in addition to the community engagement, we also have active community participation that are exhibited in different areas of our operation, where local community members support our project in labor and in providing like different materials, like locally available materials to support our programs, mostly like for water construction projects. And in addition to that, we also support we give technical support to local government stakeholders, local change agents, and like the water committees or WASHCO committees to support and enhance their skills and knowledge and make sure like their active participation in project implementation and project follow-up is there. And these committee members especially are gender balanced and of course composed, we always make sure like they are composed from the community or from the community members, and these are linked with local government structures for more accountability and responsibility functions. And also we also assess like the financial sustainability of the projects as well, and in that way like we make sure like community contributes something for the maintenance and other logistic related needs. And finally, after the project implementation, there is a post-implementation. We call it the exit strategy. And during this time, once we are done with the project or the program that we have implemented together with the local stakeholders and including the community members, we involve like signing different kind of agreement with respected government stakeholders. And also like we have already done all the capacity building programs and trainings and all that with selected community members and change agents. So we will hand it over the
Hermela, I'm so sorry to cut you off. I just want to make sure we have time for everyone. Thank you so much for telling us about Drop of Water's impactful work. We're really excited to welcome you to the cohort. I'm going to ask the same question to our next partner. So Virginie from Faith in Action, how is your organization's model creating a sustainable future for the community you serve?
Yeah, thank you, Katie, for the question. Yeah, first of all, good evening, everybody. I'm Virginie Nizigama, the Executive Director and Founder of Faith in Action. And on behalf of Faith in Action and myself, we are so glad to be part of these great change makers. Our deepest thanks goes to the African Visionary Fund members for selecting Faith in Action for this cohort. So let me come up to the question. Our country, Burundi, is ranked the first poorest in the world, with 72.9% of the population living under the poverty lines, and many of them are women and children. Poverty leads to repeated family and gender-based violence, conflict, divorce, street children, cycle of lower family income, and family indignation. Moreover, women here in Burundi are deprived of many life skills and decision-making rights over family assets, even if they are pillars of family and community. So Faith in Action works to reduce poverty, hunger, and gender inequality by building the human capital and achieving financial inclusion. We coach and support women in rural and peri-urban areas to become active, contributing members of their community and families. Through three main services: entrepreneurship and solidarity fundings, family support, and life skills. Based on the impact already made and how we see local communities on our programs, identify their problems, and how they are committed and involved in solving them, I hope that with our synergy, we will reach the Sustainable Development Goals by 2030. For more information, please look at our website, www.fearburundi.org. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Virginie. So wonderful to hear about your work at Faith in Action in Burundi. I'm going to ask the same question to one more partner. So Dr. Abiodun from Help Mom, how is your organization's model creating a sustainable future for the community you serve?
Yeah, can you turn on my video? I can.
Yes, you can go ahead, and our team in the back end will turn on your video.
Okay, yeah, thank you very much. My name is Dr. Abiodun, and I'm very excited to be here today to be part of this cohort of amazing social entrepreneurs and helping to improve lives across the African continent. I'm the founder and CEO at Help Mom, where essentially what we are doing is to improve maternal and infant healthcare using low-cost innovation and the power of mobile technology. And how do we sustainably ensure that our solution is integrated into the community that we are? Number one, we have several approaches in which we've developed over time to help achieve this. The first one is working with the government, right? We see gaps within the government healthcare systems, and we develop innovations to fill in that gap. And we then co-create with the government so that over time, the government can take up these innovations in their healthcare system and they can continue to deploy and run with it. Because with that way, we ensure continuity and we ensure that our solutions can scale to more people and can reach out to more people. That's the number one way. The number two way is we develop a lot of technology innovations, and a lot of them are frontier technologies because we use a lot of AI we integrate AI into a lot of our solutions. And one of the ways we think about how can we scale them and sustainably also integrate them in our community is also by on the long term, making some of this technology open source. So what do I mean by open source? Ensuring that other communities, other jurisdictions, other subnational levels can take some of the code base of what we've developed to improve life, and they can use it in their own community and use it to also improve lives. That's another way. And the third way is through research and insight, right? We do a lot of publication. We release a lot of our insight to the general public to see how to make the general public know how we are helping to improve maternal and infant healthcare, the insights we are getting, the learnings we are getting, so that they can understand how we are solving this innovation in our own community. And anybody that is interested in also solving that innovation or solving the same problem we are solving, they don't need to start from the scratch. They can look at some of the research and insights that we've gathered, and they can use it to solve this this problem in their own community. And what does these three things I've mentioned, what do they do? Essentially, they create long-term sustainability. That means we are creating solutions not just for the community that we serve, we are also creating solutions that can be replicated not only in Nigeria, but in other African countries and other domains. And that is one of the ways we sustainably create innovations that can be integrated into our community and is sustainable over time. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Abiodun. Next up, I'd like to ask a different question to our new partner, Brenda from Kids Educational Engagement Project. We believe that locally led organizations possess the crucial ingredients needed for deep impact: knowledge, context, and proximity. What are things that are unique to the context that you work in that have shaped how you approach your programs?
Thank you, Katie. Sorry for my background in the rural part. So first of all, this is surreal today for me. I'm trying to be very diplomatic and be very calm, but I'm so excited to be with all of you today. And big shout out to everybody who was on the committee for the selection of KeepH as a beneficiary of this grant. This is really, 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 truly an exciting moment, time frame for us. One thing that I know that my name is Brenda. I'm the founder and executive director of Kids Education Engagement Project KeepH. KeepH Liberia is a social justice nonprofit that was birthed out of a crisis period. And so to answer your question, I think just having shared trauma as a people, that's one thing that has helped us to work closely with the communities, having gone through civil war, having gone through Ebola, having gone through COVID. A lot of lessons learned that we picked up over the years, and lessons also learned from seeing how NGOs operated, lessons learned from seeing how the UN operator here has really influenced how we engage communities when we work. And that really means we, most times, as much as we can, we co-design our projects with the community. We adopt a sort of not full 360 approach, but kind of 360 approach, because we work with the communities. We also link their plans, their dreams with what is the national plan. So we've seen that as something that has really helped have the kind of ownership of the projects we do here in Liberia, which is building mini libraries in public schools. We've done 34 now across the country. Also knowing that a lot of the trust, we're seeing a lot of trust towards our work, primarily, I think, because people see and hear the accent, to see the people, to know that these are people who are here in the long haul. It's not a hit and run kind of intervention. So that helps us to really build trust with the communities that we work with, and that has really helped. Lastly, communication. Being able to communicate to those that we work with in the communities, being able to communicate to the government, has been also important in communicating to the general public. So even if you're not someone who donates to us, just the fact that we're constantly sharing information, being accountable to the work, to the public for the work that we're doing, I think has really helped. That's helped us in terms of how the context and knowledge has been able to help our organization. We're 10 years this year, and we're really excited.
Thank you so much, Brenda. Really great to hear about your work in Liberia, and welcome to our community. I'm going to ask the same question to Keenan from Pride Community Health Organization. What are things that are unique to the context that you work in that have shaped how you approach your programs?
Thank you so much. My name is Kenan Ngambi. I am the founder and current Chief Executive Officer of Pride Community Health Organization. So I've been with Pride for the last 20 years. This year we are celebrating 20 years of our existence in the work that we have been doing. So I will not go much into explaining what we do, but I want to answer your question since there are a lot of people that are supposed to speak. So I want to create time for them. If you want to know more about our organization, you can go to our website. So Pride Community Health Organization, as I said, it is celebrating 20 years of existence, 6 years as a support group for people living with HIV and AIDS, and the last 14 years as a non-profit organization registered with the Zambian government. So strategic management has been the most crucial factor that has shaped our organizational approaches to program management. By that, I mean how we have shaped up from the last 14 years to where we are today. So some of the elements of our focused work are as follows. One, we believe that the setting of goals is the first step in turning the invisible to the visible. Unless the organization knows what it wants to achieve, there's no point in planning ahead. And this component is all about setting short-term and long-term goals. So that has helped us a lot. And then the second one has been the gathering of information about internal and external factors that could influence the program implementation and hence the achievement of our goals. So for example, issues to do with enough resources in terms of finances and manpower to execute a process. What are the competitors doing in the same space? And finally, what problems and opportunities could arise in the future? So we have been looking at all these areas for us to make sure we make the right decisions. And then from there, we have formulated a strategy. Now we have a 6-year strategy that runs from 2024 to 2030. This has helped us to determine what actions we need to be taken to accomplish our goals. And this has included also the allocation of resources at each phase of the implementation. So as we implement our strategic plan for the next 6 years, I want also to mention that we have also a financing strategy where we have identified partners that could help us roll out our strategic plan. And that in that process, we identified the African Visionary Fund. In 2022, we applied, but we were part of the 25 last competitors, but we were not picked in 2022. But we are grateful to, at this moment, that we are now a partner of the African Regional Fund. And we look forward to greater and fruitful partnerships across Africa, because I know some of those that have been given the grants, they have a lot of experience, and I look forward with my colleagues to interact with them and see how we can grow our organization and expand the scope of our work. In our strategic plan, we have 5 areas of focus, thematic areas. So the first one is health. The second one is economic empowerment. The third one is education. The fourth one is climate change mitigation and resilience. And the fifth one is water, sanitation, and hygiene. But part of that also, we are looking at capacity building. We need to build the capacity of human resource so that we can maintain and sustain the work that we are doing in the communities of Kafue district and beyond. So thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to be a partner for the next 3 years. Thank you.
Thank you, Keenan. We're so excited to have you all in our community. Next up, I'm going to ask the same question to Hardy from Regional Advisory Information and Network Systems. What are the things that are unique to the context you work in that have shaped how you approach your programs?
All right, thank you so much for the opportunity, and congratulations to all selected members of Cohort 4. So again, my name is Hardy Tijani. I work for RAINS as the Executive Director. And then it seems like I'm the first non-founder Executive Director. I mean, given what I've heard so far, all my colleagues who are presented so far are also the founders and then CEO at the same time. But I want to thank them for their efforts in promoting change in their communities. So my organization RAINS was set up some 30 years ago to respond to the development challenges confronting northern Ghana. So our context is the northern part of this country, where development disparities between northern and southern Ghana have been a major concern. And that reflects even in the uneven development across various sectors, as well as the prevalence of multidimensional poverty. For that matter, some of the unique things in our context, which can also be described as both the causes and the effects of the situation of, in our context, include challenging gender norms that hinder empowerment and equity. There are also issues of, conflicts, resource-based conflicts. Then also, large out migration of young people seeking opportunities in other parts of the country and beyond. But most importantly, in northern Ghana, which is largely our context, there's the extreme climatic conditions that increases vulnerability to weather variations like rainfall patterns. As a result, RAINS as an organization, as part of our model, has a tier of change seeking to respond to these issues in our context, and that informs and shapes the kind of program that we design. Our assumption is that if marginalized groups, and this case we're looking at communities, girls, women, young people, are provided with tailored and inclusive quality learning and life skills program, and if this is combined with family and individual level financial, education, and resource support mechanisms, then marginalized groups will be able to successfully pursue educational and vocational pathways or use their skills and set themselves on the path to employment. So that is quite central in the work we do in terms of our programming. At the heart of our programming in RAINS is a belief of the need to respond to both the immediate needs of communities while we work with them on the journey to find long-lasting sustainable solutions through multi-level policy advocacy and activities and events, which we are quite heavily engaging. In terms of impact, RAINS over the years has improved the quality of life, particularly for young people, women, and children. We can talk about the number, the several hundreds of people who have had access to education and training are either in self or formal employment. So this is one critical area that we can look at in terms of our contribution over the years to improve the quality of lives of people. But most importantly is the fact that in RAINS, we believe in the creation of sustainable and social enterprise structures that will continue to advance these opportunities for all. even beyond the programs and the initiatives that we undertake. As a result, we have provided leadership in the establishment of a rural bank to continuously provide sustainable opportunities for financial inclusion for deprived women, especially in northern Ghana. And then again, we have also led the establishment of the only all-girls senior high school in the northern region of Ghana. This school continues to advance opportunities for secondary education for girls in this country. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Hardy. Really excited to have you join our community. I'm going to shift to a new question, and I'm excited to hear from Jeff from Blossom Academy. How does your organization's model contribute to systemic change in your community or country?
Thanks so much, Katie. And it seems I cannot put on my video, but I'll jump in anyway. Hello, everyone. My name is Jeff Champon. Congratulations to all the partners here. I'm the co-founder and executive director of Blossom Academy. Building Blossom Academy started with a simple question. How do I identify high potential talents from low income backgrounds, add value to them, and then connect them to industry? In an effort to answer this question, we set out on a mission to create a pathway for untapped talents to develop data science skills, help them enter the evolving job market, and empower them to establish lasting livelihoods. We learned pretty early that systemic change requires mindset shifts. And this insight positioned us to be more intentional about co-creating with diverse stakeholders to address the needs of our communities. When it comes to systemic change, we look at it from two different angles, the student side and the employer side. On the student side, we are closing the skills gap. In Ghana and Nigeria, which are countries in which we operate in, the skills demanded by employers do not always align with the skills possessed by the workforce. Our model bridges this gap by initially identifying the needs of local employers and designing a market-driven curricula that prepares students for the job market. This, in turn, contributes to the overall improvement of the country's skill profile. Number two, promoting inclusivity. We have always believed that no student must be left behind. Over the years, we have been more intentional about serving women and underrepresented groups through strategic partnerships with other grassroots organizations, mission-aligned funders, and world-class faculty. We found that the diversity of our cohorts contribute to a more inclusive workforce in our countries of operation. In addition, it also challenges traditional norms of tech careers being designed for males and further promotes equal opportunities for all. On the employer side, we are looking at promoting business growth. It's very common in our industry to hear a CEO say, we've been doing well for years without analyzing our data, so why hire a graduate? For us, these are our favorite employer partners because once they grasp the importance of turning their data into actionable insights and understand that it can help them reduce costs and increase revenues, they end up creating an entire analytics department to hire several graduates. All it takes is placing one student who goes through our paid internship and eventually gets retained. Number two is the community impact. For myself personally and the team, our impact became clearer when one of our graduates volunteered to help a local car washing bay identify their busiest seasons. Based on the graduate's analysis, the small business could forecast when and why to hire additional workforce to support their momentum. This not only created temporal jobs, but also positioned the washing bay to stay competitive. What's beautiful is that similar scenarios are happening across several informal sectors, systemically changing mindsets and how things have always been previously accomplished. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Jeff. Really great to hear about your impactful work at Blossom Academy. Next up, Dr. Benjamin, I'd like to ask you from Emergency Medicine Kenya Foundation, how does your organization's model contribute to systemic change in your community or country?
Thank you, Katie, for the question, and evening, morning, afternoon, everyone. And so I think many people on the call right now are from Africa or other low and middle income countries. And we all know in the case in the US, in case of an emergency, you call 911. But unfortunately, in our settings, in case of an emergency, the healthcare system often fails. contributing to an over 50% higher mortality rates than we see in emergencies in Western countries. So my name is Benjamin Washira, founder and executive director of the Emergency Medicine Kenya Foundation, an NGO we formed in 2015 to support governments and emergency healthcare providers across Kenya to save lives by strengthening the emergency healthcare system through capacity building, knowledge development, advocacy, and research. So just a bit of a background. So the healthcare system delivery in Kenya is the responsibility of the country's 47 county governments, while the national government focuses on policy making and regulatory functions. So to ensure the life-saving emergency medical care for over 50 million people in Kenya, we actively collaborate with both the national government and all 47 county governments in Kenya, supporting the development of relevant emergency medical care policies and frameworks, strengthening emergency medical care infrastructure, equipment, and processes, and providing emergency medical care training and information to healthcare providers and the general public, all through by aligning our activities and interventions with the vision and objectives of the governments we partner with, thus contributing to systemic change. So far, we've had our laws incorporate emergency healthcare. We've had policy on emergency healthcare developed by the government. And right now we are working to develop 47 different emergency healthcare systems that will work seamlessly as one to save lives in Kenya. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Benjamin, and welcome to our community of partners. I'll ask one more partner the same question. Dan from Foundation for Community and Capacity Development. How does your organization's model contribute to systemic change in your community or country?
Thank you, Katie. So FOCAD, every year we take quality healthcare services to last mile communities and reach over 350,000 women, children, and young adults. Our key pathways focus on emergency transport, making sure that we transport mothers and children to healthy facilities that are closer to their communities, but also taking healthcare into the communities, last mile communities through mobile outreach clinics. Our third pathway focuses on ensuring that there is income in the household, because once the households have got income, then their ability to decide when and where to access quality health care is not compromised. So looking at systemic change, we're looking at a number of issues, but to single down, we're looking at the demand side, which is the side of the clients being able to be empowered and ask for quality health care. But we're also looking at the supply side of it, which is the healthy facilities. Our model promotes that we work with healthy facilities because these are the policy holders. But secondly, we are able to complement and supplement with the networks of community health workers who are the volunteers. By the end of the day, they become part of the mainstream healthcare system as part of human resource for health. So that's how FOCAD deals with system change. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. I'm going to shift to one more final question connected to the previous question. Systemic change also fundamentally requires mindset shifts, and that takes a lot of work to do. So for Omowumi from Gender Mobile Initiative, please tell us about your work and the role that advocacy plays in transforming your communities.
Hi, everyone. It's so good to be here today. First, I would like to appreciate the African Visionary Fund for the opportunity to be a part of this value-based community. First off, because it's quite challenging to find a donor organization that is really committed to addressing systemic change, especially in a world where a lot of donors are really focused on outputs and not outcomes. And so to the question that you had, Gender Mobile Initiative is based in Nigeria, and we're focused on advancing gender equality and also eliminating sexual and gender-based violence. But an important stream of our work is also focused on combating the proximate and remote causes of sexual harassment in higher education institutions through high-impact policies, bystander intervention, technology adoption, and also preventative education. And given that our work is actually, really focused on addressing the fundamental but complex levels within the system, then it makes, the work quite impossible without strategic advocacy. And of course, you'd agree with me that design and effective implementation of policy at system levels that, require a lot of strategic advocacy. So our work actually provides a framework of ethical infrastructure that regulates social relations and also diffuse power hierarchies. And we have employed a lot of, advocacy strategies to achieve this. First is we've done a lot of work on capacity building, essentially legally empowering community of students, putting the power of laws and policies in their hands to be able to engage the systems of accountability. That's really critical. Second is that we've also centered the experiences, the priorities, the leadership, the expertise, and the aspirations of survivors and victims of sexual harassment in environments of learning. And that's also critically important. The third advocacy strategy that we've also employed also is, education and communication strategies. You talked about social norms and culture and even relationship and mindset that sort of, perpetrate and that sort of enable the perpetration of sexual harassment. So we employ education and communication to ensure that we transform adverse norms and culture in this environment. And I would say we also employ public relations, but in general, we understand that advocacy is important and no one single organization can on its own address systemic issue or cause a systemic shift. And so advocacy has also helped us to identify partners who have valuable roles to play and also helped us to create actionable pathways to success. And one great thing we've also done in terms of advocacy is to do an in-depth political economy analysis that gives us a sense of who is supposed to do what, who has power to do what, when, and how. And once again, I want to congratulate my team, myself, and other cohort partners. And I really look forward to a rewarding and mutually beneficial relationship with the African Visionary Fund. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Omawumi. We're excited to have you as part of our community. Next up, Christian from the Uganda National Academy of Sciences. Please tell us about your work and the role that advocacy plays in transforming your communities.
Thank you very much, Katie. And what a pleasure to be here today. Part of me feels that I'm in a dream, but hearing from everyone else, this may very well be reality when we come together as Africans to create the change that we've wanted to create. I'm from the Uganda National Academy of Sciences, and our work really is to inform policymakers using the most credible and best available evidence from the sciences. And by sciences, that is is inclusive in a human endeavor that prizes logic and evidence. That is a science. So we also have people from law, from the arts, people from music, and so on, as well as your traditional scientists. That can all be found on our website. To answer this question of advocacy for systemic change, I go back to the root of this word advocacy, right? Advocare, advocare, whichever way you pronounce it, at its root is that we are calling. It is a clarion call, a summon, an invitation. They say to do what? And at UNAS, it's to do three things. Number one, an invitation to question what knowledge is and to see to ourselves that we have an African knowledge base that we can, many times we see we abandon, correct? So we prize a knowledge that comes from without us, from beside us, and we prize it leaving aside our own. So at UNAS, we give equal prominence to our indigenous knowledge as we do to others. Number two, what next do? We employ this transdisciplinary approach to collapsing sectors, because you will find problem solving, immunization. Let us only talk to the doctors. You find climate change. Let us only talk to geography people. For us to say, no, these are human things, and you need a multiplicity of viewpoints. So number three, with the invitation, is to be vulnerable and be comfortable with discomfort, because that is where real learning happens. And I have a few more seconds. I can't contain myself. I have to say, here is an invitation for all of us to begin really working together. And as my maternal people would end, I have to celebrate and say, aye. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Christian. We're so excited to have you in our community. We've got one partner left. We might go 1 or 2 minutes over time, but you won't want to miss this last partner and what she has to say. So for our last partner, I'd like to ask the same question to Angela from Wotesawa Domestic Workers Organization. Please tell us about your work and the role that advocacy plays in transforming your communities.
Thank you, Katie. Hi, everyone. My name is Angela Benedicto. I'm a founding executive director of Wotesawa Domestic Workers Organization from Tanzania. Areas we are working on are policy and legal reform, economic empowerment, educational support, service provision, in the transforming social fabric and tributing harmful practice. In summary, the work that we are doing here at Wotesawa, we provide legal education to law enforcers, domestic workers, employers, and the community at large on the importance of decent work for domestic workers. And through this activity, we have facilitated the enactment of the regulation to protect domestic workers in my community. Another work that we are doing, we are collaborating with other like-minded organizations such as NGOs. We have formed or facilitated to form a network whereby we are domestic workers organization to make sure that we have a collective voice from grassroots to national level. To make sure that the government
I think, Angela, I think you might be having a network connection issue. I hope that everyone got a little bit about Angela's incredible work at Wotesawa Domestic Workers Organization. And I saw that someone put their website in the chat. So please, in case Angela's connection doesn't come back, check out their website to learn more. We are at time, so I will go ahead and thank you all so much. Thank all of our new partners for such insightful and inspiring responses. We are so excited.
Hello.
Oh, Angela,
sorry.
you're back. That's totally fine. Would you like to just finish with a few last comments before we close?
Yeah, so thank you so much. I wanted to finish on that. We have contributed to the enactment of new minimum wage, whereby domestic workers have been paid less. So through our work, we have been engaging with local government leaders, law enforcers to make sure that we are pushing toward the agenda of domestic workers to get paid. Not much, but at least based on their working they do. To finalize, I wanted also to share about how we have participated on developing the national guideline to establish safe houses, whereby Wotesawa we have been accommodating survivors of human trafficking, gender-based violence, and the human trafficking. So to summarize, I can say that we focus on promoting decent work, we are eliminating child labor, and we are combating human trafficking. And we are very, very excited to be with this amazing platform, and we look forward to grow together. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Angela. I'm so glad that your connection came back so that you could finish your remarks. We're so excited to have Wotesawa as part of our community. So thank you all so much to our new partners. Thank you for such insightful and inspiring responses and introductions to yourselves. We are so excited to walk this journey with you and learn from you as much as we hope you'll feel supported by us. So I'll hand it over to my co-CEO, Atti, for final words.
Thank you, Katie. Sorry, my lighting is terrible because it's dark now where I am in Addis. Thank you, everyone. We've come to the end of our program today, and we would like to thank you all for attending and for joining us in welcoming our new partners. We're in an exciting period for the organization as we create new and improved strategies to live our mission and achieve our vision for a world where African-led organizations are understood, respected, and funded equitably. We're also passionate about sharing our pipeline organizations with our funders, so please engage with us and learn more about our portfolio and pipeline. We look forward to connecting with you again, and have a great day or evening wherever you are, and thank you again and have a wonderful evening.